Slides are visible.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So as part of this virtual workshop, this session is on nutritional value and health benefits of millets. Slides are moving.
Yes, ma'am. They are moving.
Okay. So as part of this presentation, we are going to see about the nutritional composition of some of the widely cultivated millets and also the health benefits of the millet, mostly as inferred from the available in vitro and in vivo studies. So I think this slide is not needed mostly as you all might have heard about this as part of this workshop and from other things also. So just to tell you the millets include mainly the widely cultivated ones include these 9 millet crops. The major millets including the sorghum and pearl millet, and also the minor millets including small millets including the finger millet, foxtail millet, little millet, barnyard millet, kodo millet, proso millet, and brown top millet. So why the millets are getting recent attention? Last year we have celebrated the International Year of Millets, and the celebration is still continuing. It is up to the 31st of March 2024. So mainly we have heard about the agronomic superiority of these crops and the importance of these crops during these times of global warming, as they are climate resilient crops. They are adapted to wide ecological conditions and they can grow with lesser inputs, everything. So one more thing I would like to highlight here is they're highly nutritious. These grains are highly nutritious. All the millets are highly nutritious, and presently most of the countries across the world is facing the triple burden of malnutrition. You have heard about this term malnutrition, which is one of the important public health concern. So when we hear about the term malnutrition, we mostly think about the wasting or the underweight scenario, wherein whenever there is a protein deficiency, we can see that a child who is having a protein deficiency, malnutrition, he will be wasted or stunned. He may not be having the enough height or the weight that is required for his or her age. That is only one form of malnutrition. There are other facets for the malnutrition. The other important facet is hidden hunger. You all might have heard this term hidden hunger. So the hidden hunger refers to the deficiency of micronutrients. Micronutrients mainly includes the essential minerals and the B vitamins and other vitamins also, which are required only in small quantities, but it is essential for carrying out many functions of the body. So most of the times, whenever there is a deficiency of the micronutrients, we may not come to know until unless it reaches a particular level wherein the function may not happen and it will manifest as some physical problems. Otherwise, many a times, many of us are having the deficiency of micronutrients, and it may go unnoticed many a times. So that is hidden hunger. During these times, whenever we have these kind of problems, we will feel very much tired or fatigued. We may not be able to perform up to our optimal levels and all. Many times it goes undetected. That is hidden hunger. The prevalence of hidden hunger is very high, especially in the developing countries. And the third facet of malnutrition is the obesity or the overnutrition. As in present day life, many of us are relied on the processed food. Processed food in the sense extremely processed food, which is devoid of dietary fiber or other nutrients. So because of the ease in using them, we are using highly processed food, excess of oil contained food or excess fat contained food. All these are leading to obesity like scenarios, obesity and all the lifestyle associated disorders. Once obesity is there, then you will be prone for other kind of lifestyle associated disorders also. So this is also a form of malnutrition. The malnutrition includes the protein deficiency or the macronutrient deficiency, also the micronutrient deficiency, and also the overnutrition or the obesity kind of situation. So, and during The present times, which we are fighting this triple burden of malnutrition. Many countries, including India, is fighting the triple burden of malnutrition. So the improving the dietary diversity, increasing the diversity of the food basket is one of the sustainable solution for managing this problem of malnutrition. So under this context, the millets, which are about widely cultivated ones, are about 9 nutritious cereals. They will help in improving our dietary diversity. So once we place them into our food basket, that will help to fight the problem of triple burden of malnutrition. So nutritional wise also, the millets are highly relevant. So their consumption is very much important for preventing the lifestyle associated disorders. So that is. Now coming to the millets as smart crops, you might have heard about this because of their agronomic superiority. They are good for the farmers. Because of the health beneficial attributes, they are good for us, the consumers, and also for the planet, as they have very low carbon footprint, and also they require lesser amount of water. So now we will see the nutritional, from the nutritional point of view, how sustainable millets are. So the millets includes, as I've already mentioned, the major ones, sorghum and pearl millet, and the small millets including finger millet, foxtail millet, little millet, proso, barnyard, and kodo. So since the reports about the brown top millets are very less, we are not including. So wherever the complete report is available, those millets we have included for this particular lecture. So in the major nutrients that is present in millets are similar to that is present in other cereals also. The outer layer, which is the bran layer, the outer layer of the grains, this consists of mainly the phenolic compounds, which are bioactive compounds, then some of the micronutrients including the B vitamins and the minerals, and also the total dietary fiber that is present in the millets is present in the outer layer, which is the bran layer, and the inner portion, the endosperm, that mainly consists of the starch, protein, and some amount of the minerals are also present in the endosperm part. And the third one is the innermost layer, which is the germ layer, wherein most of the fat as well as B vitamins are concentrated. So why we are mentioning about the structure and their distribution? Because the millets, small millets, except for the finger millet, all the small millets, we need to process them by dehulling. The hull is not edible, which is a non-edible portion. Just like paddy husk, we have to remove the husk of these small millets and has to be consumed. So when we remove the husk, some of the components will be lost. So it is better not to polish, because while polishing, the bran layer will be removed. Polishing may be required for some of the aspects, including improving the aesthetic appearance or improved shelf life. Polishing may helpful, but from the nutritional point of view, since the bran is having many of the nutrients, it is better to consume millets unpolished way. For that matter, any cereals. Now, each one we are going to see. The first one is the sorghum, which is the very widely cultivated millet. Sorghum is having good amount of protein, close to 10%. Then fat content is generally low, just like any other cereal. The ash content is nothing but it gives a vague idea about the total minerals that is present in the grain. So it is also very good, 1.4%, and close to 10% dietary fiber is there. Remaining part is the carbohydrate. Among the carbohydrates, starch is the major carbohydrate. So this is about the sorghum. Next one is bajra or the pearl millet. Pearl millet is also a very good source of protein, 10.9%. It also has good amount of dietary fiber, good amount of ash, and especially pearl millet, you all know that it is a good source of fat also. Especially when we give weaning food and all for the kids and all, it will be very good since it is having good amount of fat. At the same time, since it is having high amount of fat, once we make it into a flour, the flour will tend to become rancid very fast. So that is one of the disadvantage. Because of the high amount of fat, the flour tends to become more rancid. So, but it has good amount of fat with good essential fatty acids also that we will see further. So this is ragi. Ragi is having good amount of protein, close to, this is much better than the rice, protein in the rice. It is having low amount of fat. The mineral content, if we see the total ash, it is having 2%, and also since we are consuming it as whole grain, The dietary fiber content is also good, 11.2. For weaning food and all, we try to remove the outer layer after making it into flour. We will sieve them to remove the seed coat part because it may not be so good for the children from the digestive point of view. But if including the outer layer, the dietary fiber content of this finger millet or ragi is close to 11.2%, and the rest is carbohydrate. Now coming to the foxtail millet or kangani. So this has to be dehulled. This is the whole grain, and after dehulling, there are rice, foxtail millet rice will look like this. Foxtail is a good source of protein and also the minerals. It is also having good amount of fat content. The dietary fiber content is close to 10.5%, and the rest is carbohydrate. Again, next one is barnyard millet or sava or sanva millet. So barnyard millet is also having good amount of protein. So if we see the dietary fiber content, it is having good amount of dietary fiber. The dietary fiber is nowadays getting more attention because it is considered as a functional food component. So ash content is also good and is having minimum amount of fat also. Coming to the kodo millet. The kodo millet, once it is dehulled, this is the kodo rice. This is one of the millets which is having almost 7 layers of the pericarp portion, the outer layer. So it is very difficult to, the dehulling of this millet is little cumbersome actually. So the protein content after dehulling, it is close to 8.9%. The mineral content is 1.7%. And once we remove the outer layers, the dietary fiber content is only 6.4, but it is much better than paddy and other cereals. So the fat content is close to 2.5%. Next one is little millet or cookie. This is the dehulled grains of little millet. Little millet is also a good source of protein, ash, and also some amount of dietary fiber. Good amount of dietary fiber is present in little millet. Coming to the proso millet or chena. So this is how the dehulled proso millet will look like. So once the outer layer is removed, the protein content is 12.5. So this is basically this values in the table is from the market sample. So whenever we are doing the breeding samples at IAMR, we are seeing close to 18 to 19% of protein, even in the dehulled grains, because protein will be mainly concentrated on the endosperm portion. So hulling will not have much effect on the protein content. So the whole grain as well as the dehulled grain will have the similar amount of protein only. So in the dehulled grain, we are seeing close to 18-19% also. The proso millet is one of the millets which is having the highest protein content. So this is the protein content of proso millet, and ash content is having good amount of minerals also, and also the dietary fiber. So this is one table wherein the whole wheat, this nutritional value of millets is compared with the whole wheat as well as the milled rice. This is a raw rice mill and this is being compared. So if we see that the millets, one point here is no single millet is a super grain. So we have to, if we want to get the benefits, we have to consume all the millets regularly. We can rotate at least 2 to 3 millets. It is better to rotate and consume because always improving the dietary diversity. The diversity of the food basket should be more so that you can get maximum benefit out of the our food. So if we see that the pearl millet is having good amount of fat content, finger millet, foxtail millet, even proso millet, all good source of minerals. Then the protein content, especially proso, foxtail, and also pearl millet is very high. And the total dietary fiber, most of the millets is having good amount of dietary fiber. But if we see barnyard millet, finger millet, pearl millet, because these are consumed as such, there is no dehulling involved. The dietary fiber will be high for these grains, and also the proso millet. Good amount of dietary fiber is there. Coming to the carbohydrate portion, one point I would like to highlight here is the most of the carbohydrate, just like any other cereals, the starch is the highest amount. But at the same time, the starch, especially in case of sorghum and all, if we see, it is slow digestible. So once we consume, the amount of starch that is getting digested is very less, which means less amount of glucose will be coming to our blood immediately after consumption of a food. This is particularly important for patients having diabetes mellitus or who are in pre-diabetic range also. So this could be a good, millets could be a good option for regulating the blood sugar, especially post-meal, that is the postprandial glucose level. So this is nothing but the amylose and amylopectin content. The importance here is if the amylose content of the grain is high, which means that this will be having slow digestible sugars. So especially in case of sorghum, kodo millet and all, if we see this, definitely there will be varietal variation depending upon the variety. The contents may change, but in most of the cases, the sorghum is having good amount of amylose, and because of the presence of amylose, the amount of glucose that is released into the blood will be in a controlled manner. That will be helpful in many lifestyle associated disorders. So foxtail is also having good amount of amylose content. Sorghum is also having good amylose content. So now coming to the protein part, as we all know, the millets, all the millets are gluten free. They do not have the gluten component of the protein. So because of the non-glutinous nature, that they are ideal for those people who are having gluten allergy, they can safely consume millets. So because the gluten is not there, some of the properties, for example, in wheat, the pasting properties of wheat is mainly because of the gluten. That is why when we prepare roti or chapati out of millets, that may not be taste wise or sensory wise not that appealing as that of wheat. That is because the gluten component is deficient, and nowadays in market the composite flours are available wherein similar to gluten, some of the functional components are naturally incorporated in such a way that the roti quality will be better. So pearl millet, among the millets, this is mainly about the essential amino acid. In millets, most of the essential amino acids are present. Except for the lysine, which is a deficient amino acid. In all the cereals, lysine is deficient. Similarly, in millets also, it is deficient. So always a portion of the millet when we consume, it is always good to you eat along with some proteinaceous food like legumes. So that will be better to consume whenever. So lysine is deficient. Otherwise, other essential amino acids are present in the millet cereals. So in general, the fat content is less like most other cereals, but only in case of pearl millet, the fat is high. In whatever available fat, the essential fatty acids are good. The essential fatty acid content is good, especially the monounsaturated fatty acids are present in good amount, which are good for the heart health. It is present in millet. So the available fat is having good quality of fatty acids. So this is about the minerals. As I have already told, millets are good source of micronutrients. So millets contain good amount of iron, copper, calcium, magnesium, selenium, zinc, etc. Especially in this one particular millet, which is finger millet. You all know that it is having a very high amount of calcium, which is close to 364 milligram per 100 gram. So this means that the consumption of 100 grams is sufficient to meet the 1/3 of the recommended dietary allowance for this particular mineral, that is calcium. So since the calcium is required, especially for adolescent women, pregnant women, and also elderly people, so calcium can be a very good source of ragi can be very good source of calcium, and it's also very affordable also. So this is having good amount of calcium, more than the milk also. And other essential minerals including iron and zinc is also very high in millet as compared to most of the other cereals. Good amount of iron and zinc, especially if we see pearl millet, finger millet, here good amount of iron is there. Foxtail millet also is a good source of iron, even barnyard millet. Then zinc also is very high. So this is the mineral composition of some of the varieties which we are doing, the foxtail millet varieties. So if we see good amount of calcium is there, zinc is also very high, even iron content if we see it is very good. These are all in dehulled grains of foxtail millet. So this is about some of the varieties which is having good amount of calcium and iron content. This is one foxtail millet variety, Garuda, where the calcium content is very high. Dhanashakti is one of the, you all may be knowing about this, up to 74 ppm iron is present in this particular variety, Dhanashakti. And also nowadays biofortified pearl millet varieties are available wherein high iron and zinc content is available. Also similarly, there is one finger millet which is having good amount of micronutrients, especially calcium. Also, not only the mineral nutrients, the millets have good amount of B vitamins also. As I have already told, mainly this is present in the outer layer, which is the bran layer. So, in case of small millets, when the dehulling is done and if polishing is done, some amount of this will be removed. But in case of sorghum, pearl millet and finger millet, since we are not doing any dehulling as such, so most of the B vitamins will be available in these grains, and the consumption of these grains will be helpful in getting the B vitamins, especially thiamine, riboflavin and niacin. These are mainly obtained from the cereal sources. The cereal brans are the good source of these vitamins. So consumption of these millets will help in getting these vitamins. Now, dietary fiber, we are hearing more about dietary fiber nowadays, especially in case of diabetes control. Also, dietary fiber is helpful. Whenever we hear about the term dietary fiber, the total dietary fiber will consist of two components. One is soluble dietary fiber, and the second one is insoluble dietary fiber. These two components are very good. These two components are not digested in our system. Rather, it will directly, without it will pass into the gut as undigested components, and in the gut, where some of the microorganisms will use these components as their source of food, and they will ferment it and they will produce some of the biomolecules, including short chain fatty acid, which is very important for many of the physiological conditions in the body, for many of the physiological functions in the body. That is one function of the dietary fiber. In addition to this, soluble dietary fiber. The soluble dietary fiber, as the name signifies, they are soluble somewhat. So since they are soluble, they will form gel-like substance. So what they do is that they will form a mesh-like structure, and they will try to absorb some of the anti-nutrients or excess of glucose or excess of cholesterol or whatever anti-nutrients or excess molecules that is present in our circulation. So it will absorb that. It will form a gel-type matrix, and it will absorb, and it will try to remove from the circulation. So in that way, it will try to manage the cholesterol levels. It will reduce the excess of cholesterol that is present in the body. Similar way, some of the anti-nutrients and some of the toxic compounds, bilirubin and all, some of these molecules when present in excess, they are toxic. So these soluble dietary fiber of your food will try to remove these components. So in that way, if we see the soluble dietary fiber, this is split between soluble and insoluble of the total dietary fiber of the millets in comparison with rice and whole wheat. So here I have not included, but the oats, which is another cereal, it's a good source of soluble dietary fiber, which will be very helpful. Similar way, pearl millet, among the millets, pearl millet and little millet is having good amount of the soluble dietary fiber. So this is a comparison table. So always whenever we say about these values, nutritional values, there will be always variation will exist between the genotypes. So this is some of the genotypes. And one more thing is that since it is present in the outer layers, so too much of polishing will remove the total dietary fiber. So it is always better to consume unpolished cereals. Now, also one more factor is the phenolic compounds, which is concentrated in the outer layers of the grains. Phenolic compounds, this mainly includes the phenolic acids and flavonoids. So these compounds are secondary metabolites, plant secondary metabolites. The plant will have its own function for these compounds. However, from the human health beneficial point of view, these compounds they will act as antioxidants. They will help in maintaining the redox balance of the body. So the excess of free radicals that is generated in our body due to the routine work and also because of the stress or whatever it is, the excess of free radicals that is generated in the body is harmful. It will have many harmful effects, including it will start unwanted reactions, and it will affect the health of the body. So in order to remove these free radicals, antioxidants are needed in our body. So the phenolic compounds including the phenolic acids and the flavonoid, will act as antioxidants and they will reduce the free radical associated damage in the body. So mainly in the fruits and vegetables, this this phenolic compounds or the antioxidant activity is high. So those who cannot afford, especially the resource constrained people who are present in the especially across the what you can tell the tropical regions and across the Africa, dryland regions of Africa and also in some parts of the Asia, since they cannot afford that much dietary diversity and also inclusion of these foods and fruits and vegetables. So the millets are good source of that, and it is an affordable source for them. So this is the total phenolic content. It is nothing but the amount of free radical scavenging activity that can be got from these grains. So as per our studies, this is very high. The phenolic content as well as the flavonoid content in these grains are very high, and they will be definitely helpful in mitigating the free radical associated damage. And once we are talking about the nutritional compounds, we should also mention about some of the anti-nutritional compounds like the phytic acid, oxalic acid, condensed tannins, etc. So all these compounds are present in most of the grains as they have some of the functions in the grain. For example, if we see phytic acid, it is a storage form of phosphorus in the seed. So whenever the seed germination, phosphorus is needed, and hence the phytic acid is an essential factor. But when we see about their anti-nutritional activity, like phytic acid, this will serve as a chelator. So they will go and bind to the divalent metal ions. So in that way, they will affect the bioavailability of the divalent metal ions, especially iron, zinc, magnesium, etc. In that way, they are considered as anti-nutritional factors. So most of the grains, not only millet, most of the grains will have these anti-nutritional factors. However, the released varieties which is used for consumption is not having much amount of this, and whatever is available, which can be reduced by the common household processing. Like usually we cook millets after soaking. So those practices will try to remove all these unwanted, the anti-nutritional factors which are present. So one more thing is the condensed tannins. Mostly these are present in sorghum and also in finger millet. Some amount is detected in finger millet. Most other millets have condensed tannins, but it is very less amount only. So the important thing is that most of the household processing method, what we do generally, will definitely reduce these anti-nutrient contents. So this is one of the studies we have done where how the processing is affecting malting, hydrothermal treatment, as well as fermentation. All these processes are reducing the anti-nutrient content that is present in the grains. So some of the process like malting will improve the digestibility, protein digestibility also. So this is a table which shows which component is increased upon different processing method. So if we see, in order to improve the nutritional benefits and also reduce the anti-nutrition, one good process could be germination. Also, if we see fermentation, this is another process wherein all the nutritional quality can be improved. At the same time, the anti-nutrient is getting reduced. So this is about the processing, various processing method, how it is affecting the nutritional quality. Not going into much detail. In general, germination, fermentation, whenever we prepare idli and dosa out of millets or any other cereals, we do fermentation. Fermented batter only we use for cooking. So this process also helps in improving the nutritional value, at the same time reducing the anti-nutritional content. So based on these nutritional values, the millets have a lot of health benefits. Some of the health benefits that are that we know based on the studies, based on the published studies, here I have included. As they are abundant source of micronutrients, they are very much important in reducing the hidden hunger or the micronutrient deficiency, reducing the prevalence of micronutrient deficiency. This is one study wherein pearl millet, biofortified pearl millet, was found to reduce the micronutrient, especially the iron deficiency. It could mitigate the iron deficiency and it could improve the cognitive performance of the school-going children. Similar way, this is another study. This is a meta-analysis wherein they have found that consumption of millet could combat combat the iron deficiency anemia. And also they have found that some of the process like fermentation and malting could improve the bioavailability of the nutrients, and decortication was found to double the bioavailable iron. This is also another study wherein finger millet could improve, the supplementation of finger millet could improve the bone mineral density in premenopausal women. So these millets all these millets are very helpful in fighting the micronutrient deficiency. Regular consumption of these millets will help in preventing the hidden hunger or the micronutrient deficiency. That is one aspect. They could be a sustainable source of micronutrients. Second one is they could be very helpful in reducing the obesity as well as hyperlipidemia. This is mainly because of the high amount of dietary fiber that is present in these grains. At the same time, they also are found to reduce the bad cholesterol, that is LDL cholesterol that is present in the body, and they could improve the good cholesterol, that is HDL cholesterol. So this study shows that, this is another meta-analysis which is recently published. This also shows that consumption of minerals will help in reducing the incidences of obesity. Also, millets have an anti-hypertensive effect. So regular consumption of millets will help in reducing the blood pressure. So another important one is the management of diabetes. More number of studies are available about the health benefits. When we search about the health benefits of millet, most number of studies are available for the anti-diabetic effect. This is because one factor, as I have already told, the starch digestibility of the millets are low. In the sense, whenever we consume a millet-based food, the digestive enzymes will act on them, and the amount of glucose that will be released into the blood will be in a much lower rate as compared to other cereals. That is one factor. And secondly, as I have already told, the high dietary fiber, especially the soluble part of the dietary fiber, it will help to remove the excess of glucose that is circulating in the blood. So it will trap the glucose which is excess in our circulation, and it will remove from the circulation. That way also the millets will be helpful in managing the blood sugar levels. So this is one study. And also the phenol compounds that is present in the millets, they are found to inhibit the activity of the carbohydrate digestive enzymes. These studies we are also doing in our lab, in vitro studies we are doing. So whether the phenolic compounds are able to inhibit the alpha glucosidase and the amylase, which are the carbohydrate digestive enzymes. So if it could partially inhibit, the amount of glucose that is released after digestion will be less. Thereby it will help to manage the glucose levels. So not only the glucose levels, but also the associated disorders, that is diabetes associated complications such as cataract and the similar diseases, which will try to reduce, because they act on some of the digestive enzymes, thereby prevent some of the enzymes that will cause the cataract or similar kind of problems. So they will inhibit those enzymes, thereby reducing the complications of the diabetes, associated complications of the diabetes. And this is another important aspect. Many of the in vitro studies, the clinical trials are still not done for this particular aspect. However, many of the in vitro studies have shown, because of the high free radical scavenging activity of especially the phenolic phytochemicals that is present in millets, they will help to reduce this free radical induced damage. The free radical induced damage is one of the major causes of the cancer. So because they have good amount of antioxidant, they were found to reduce many of the cancer related, the free radical damage they are able to arrest, and hence they would be helpful in reducing the incidence. If we regularly consume, they will be very helpful in reducing the incidence of the free radical damage which causes the cancer. So another important thing is the gut health, which is very important. As we all know that recently we are hearing that the gut health is very important for maintaining the overall health of our body. The complete health of our body is based on how healthy our gut is. So in that aspect, since the fermentation of the dietary fiber that is present in the millets will help to release some of the short chain fatty acid, they will have several health benefits improving the gut health, and hence this consumption of the millets will help in improving the colon health. So these are some of the important health benefits of the millets, and that's it about the nutritional value and health benefits. Only those based on the studies we have included. So that's it. Thank you.